So kind of a little bit stressed out right now because I was offloading the footage last night. Wanted to get a good jump on backing everything up, and I noticed as we shot on 3 cameras. We shot 2 cards on A cam, which is the one we used all day for interviews. We shot 1 SSD for B cam, which did the 3 camera with us, and then a bunch of the glamour slow motion stuff. And then the 3rd camera we just shot only for the interview, or the group interview, the group roundtable. And we had SSD on that guy through an adapter, but it turns out we also had a CFast card inside of it as well. So when we pulled the cards from the cameras yesterday, as far as I know, that one was overlooked. Our stuff was spread everywhere, so we were wrapping one section and trying to shoot another section and trying to keep the day flowing. So anyway, long story short, as I was offloading, I noticed camera C. I pulled up the SSD and there was 1 file on it, and my heart just stopped. It's one of those times where you just go, what the fetch? Because I've had problems in the past where occasionally on and that was on the one of the rented Ursas. I can't remember if it was, no, that one was Skylar, so it should be fine. Anyway, long story short, sometimes you get rented equipment, it gets beat up, the buttons don't respond. But I do remember checking visually whenever we rolled. My brain, I think to myself, I've explained something to you, and then I just skip ahead and I don't explain myself very well. When I first put the card in and noticed it was missing footage, I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, the rolls and cuts got off on the camera. Sometimes when you're in the thick of things, you hit the button and you don't realize you're cutting instead of rolling. It's happened a couple times. The GH4 would do it because you hit the record button and that would wake it up instead of actually rolling. So unless you specifically tell yourself to look at the time code that's rolling and make sure it's all the right indicators are going, you'll somehow miss that it's rolling or not rolling. So anyway, long story short, I thought somehow we got off on the rolls and cuts on that 3rd camera, and I thought to myself, well, no. I remember specifically looking down the line and watching all red lights come on, make sure we're all rolling on all 3 cameras a number of times, do the spot check to make sure there's no problem. So I thought, well, then what was the other problem? Did it just stop writing files, or maybe it's a Windows versus Mac thing? Somehow it wrote, the SSD isn't formatted correctly, so Windows isn't seeing all the files, etc., etc. And then I had this little click in my head where I was like, I remember somebody asking me, hey, when I roll from, I'm looking at my card and it's just gonna roll to the next card once it writes everything to this single card. And we said, yeah, it'll roll right through, no problem, it won't stop. So I know we had an SSD in there, CFast in there. So I checked all my CFasts. We used 2 in the slider camera to keep it light. I had 1 extra, which we never wrote to. I had 2 rented cards that came with one of the rented cameras. They're 128s. We never wrote to those, which leaves us with Skylar's 2 cards, which I said, hey, have them on standby in case we need them, which we shouldn't have because we had enough cards, and Jared's cards, which he usually has on hand as well. So one of those 2 sources supplied a CFast that the camera wrote to before it wrote to the SSD, and because it rolled over to the 2nd card, it's probably a 128 gig. So anyway, in theory, everything should be totally fine. That card should be sitting somewhere in somebody's camera or somebody's backpack, because when we wrapped stuff yesterday. But I found out at about 11:30 last night when I was offloading. So it's what, 6 o'clock right now, and I'm I don't do well with the unknown, so I'm stressing out and just waiting for the gym to open so I can get in and get that done. But we'll see if I can do a good workout and focus on that instead of just sitting at home crying, waiting for everyone to pick up their phones. So, footage. Happy birthday to me. I got new shoes. These are the Nano 5s. I had 5s before I wore through, and then I got 7s, and they're nowhere near as good. So though I found some 5s online, these are from a few years ago. So I'm stoked to have them back. 5s are awesome. So that was a good PR for me. I just broke 100 for the first time on the snatch. Pretty stoked about that. Okay, we just got some really good news. The CFast card we're missing is still in Skylar's camera. So we're gonna go get it after I take, not you to school, you to school. And everybody will be happy, right?
Yeah.
Give me 5. So I'm off to return the camera and pick up the CFast card, but look what they gave me at the gym today for my, I didn't get to work out yesterday at the gym, so they would have given it to me yesterday, but it's a birthday cake protein bar. Freaking cool. Okay, I'm so more relaxed that I know where that card is. I'm gonna go get it, offload it, back it up, cut a commercial. Okay, it turns out Skylar's house is close to Costco, so we got a replacement backup drive. I'll return the other one after I get everything off of the other one. And I'm eating into my editing time though, so I gotta get going. This is one of the biggest problems when you start working with bigger projects and bigger data sets. This has been copying all day, and it only has 2 hours left. So, but we'll have a good solid backup for that project, which will make me sleep better. So, and that's what I'm gonna go do right now, is sleep better.